Chris. Hello, Asaf.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
friends from around the world. Hello, Mahela in Romania. And Chris Fisher in Philly, and Julie in Utah, Lolita in Vienna,
Hello.
and Southern Sass
Yeah.
from Arkansas, and Brendan, New York City, and everyone else who is joining us all around the world. So great to be together with you here on Thursday afternoon. The weeks are going very, very fast. Time
Very
seems
fast.
to be going very, very fast. We will have to discuss what is time anyway. We'll have to do a whole show on what is time.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
But
It's
but
accelerating, too. That's it. That's all I'm
really-
going to say.
Don't confuse me right now. I just
like Friday,
started.
Friday. So we are here
Yeah.
as students of the wisdom of Kabbalah. We've got a teacher, a Kabbalist. We are normal people, came from around the world to understand who are we, what are we, where are we going, what is this life, who am I, what happens after I die, why do I suffer so much, why does everyone suffer so much, and just that gnawing question inside about what is it all about. So we come here together with you on this very, very unique show on this channel here, this Kabbalahinfo channel, where we talk about all things related to the wisdom of Kabbalah. And on this special, unique show once a week, we talk about things that are going on in the world. Strange things like the Johnny Depp story. Strange thing, like what does that have to do with anything? Why does a Kabbalist care about such a stupid Hollywood story like that? But it's in everybody's collective consciousness, or a lot of people's collective consciousness. So why is that? Why does nature present these things to us? You can call things conspiracy theories, you can call them not, but one way or another, all of these things are in our collective consciousness. So here we are at the Great Transition, talking about what are the things that nature is presenting to us in front of our eyes, and how they relate to those eternal questions that people have been asking through the ages about who are we, where are we, what is the meaning of my life, what is going on, and is there a way to make any of this good? So welcome, everybody. Buckle up your seatbelts. We're going on a magic rocket ride for the next hour.
Click it or ticket.
Yeah. So
The
guys,
Magical Mystery Tour. Yeah.
you ever go to a meeting or like a family meal or something, and you right away can feel the air? You can feel like sometimes you walk in a room and like, oh God, you can even sometimes feel it on the
in the
telephone.
sense that there's something loaded, like dividing
Sometimes it's
people,
great.
tension.
Yeah, sometimes it's great. Sometimes you get on a call with somebody and you're like, just from they answer the phone and you just feel the air is light and you're like, oh wow, this is great. And you just start riffing. You just feel something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rare. That's rare though.
But it's a thing. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do know.
There's another thing where you get on a call with someone or you walk into a meeting and you're like, oh, something's going on here. Like,
Yeah.
so you feel, you could even feel like the tension in the throat of the person talking, right? Even without words.
Mm-hmm.
So like if it happens, for example, a big holiday meal, there's that one uncle or like whoever it is, and everyone's just sitting at the table, just like, okay, here's the soup. He didn't say anything yet. Okay, we're at the chicken. He didn't say anything.
That sounds
yet.
very detailed and particular to
I'm not talking about
your
my family.
situation.
I'm just saying in general. I'm just saying. But you know what? I'm just trying to paint a picture that like a person could relate to, whether it's at your Thanksgiving table or it's a business meeting. You know that there's a feeling that can be in the air. It could either be light, it could be tense, it could be whatever. Now, if you're lucky enough to have like a young child in the family, that's always a great distraction because everyone just cares about the child. Now, with the child, there aren't all of those calculations, right? Like it doesn't matter if your aunt is constantly on your case about whatever, or if your parent is constantly on your case about whatever. If there's a new baby in the family, everyone just cares about the new baby, and there's all of those finer details don't matter as much.
Yeah, somehow the next degree of life helps us go above.
Always takes importance.
To an extent. Yeah, to an extent. Yeah.
So there is that thing that a baby's desires and a baby's thoughts are so much more simple and so much less focused, right? It's like, I want food. My diaper's at full. There's not a lot of nuance, but yet if you're sitting in a meeting, it's like, okay, well, I know that tomorrow I have to be in another meeting with this person, so I can't say the thing that I really want to say to them today because tomorrow I need them to be my advocate over there and also here. And there's just
okay. I wouldn't say nuance though. I would say like this constant. Yeah, you were about to say that. Like constant self-inspection of me and my environment and my inner accountant about what should I or shouldn't say or blink or how do I. It's the constant managing and engineering of the social interaction.
You're trying to make it through the Passover Seder without there being an explosion, right? It's like, whatever. You're trying to make it through the Thanksgiving meal or whatever with each person, and you're constantly managing like, okay, well, I'm going to say this joke to get my sister on my side so that I could later say that thing to my uncle, and that I need at least two people on my side.
Let me win some points over there. And
it's like, but with a baby, it's super, super simple.
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm painting that picture is because I want everyone to feel all of those things that we all relate to, all of those feelings. Now, we do a show like this, and we have people from every continent join our show here. Probably not Antarctica. I'm not looking in the chat right now. If you're from Antarctica, let us know. But besides that, we always see friends here from Africa, Europe, Asia, North and South America.
Yes, while not huge in amounts, it is very big in distribution and quality. We tend to have viewers from all around the world who are like-minded, and that's very inspiring and heartwarming.
So what I want to talk about there is that we're not looking at all of those faces that are coming here. We're not looking at specifically, it's fun for us to know all the different countries because it just gives us a feeling of something special happening. But in the air, and we can feel it here definitely on certain shows during certain weeks, you can feel it more and everybody starts to feel it. But really what we are doing here is incorporating not the faces, not exactly like some foreign country, but all of that each person brings towards what is that answer in my life? Where are we going? And it doesn't matter so much. Like
there's a diversity and commonality at the same time.
So, right. And the more we develop away from being like a little baby, the more complex all of my calculations are. Like you can have a TV today or the screen that we're looking at today, if anybody has a teenager, you have those pimple mirrors, that like you can look at your face, but then you have that other little mirror in the bathroom that you can see like really close, those special little mirrors.
It's like an ultra magnification.
Yeah. So like what happens for people like
I don't think I ever had that. Okay.
You didn't have this issue, but okay, fine. It's a mirror that it's like 100 times, and it goes, and you look up and you're like, oh my God, every pore on your face is like a crater and so anyway, it's fun.
All right.
But what happens for people like us who are asking all these questions, like there is no time, but I feel time, or like how, they're telling me that all of reality is good, but I see that we're headed towards nuclear war, or like, I want to focus on all good, but why am I spending the last 45 minutes reading about Johnny Depp? It's like we have all of these calculations about ourselves and everything. But when we come to a place like this, what we do feel is this tendency towards one goal, and that the abyss of problems, the endlessness of problems, the endlessness of troubles in the world, it's a black hole. It's endless. You will find more deceit. You could go through Netflix for 1,000 hours and Amazon and everything and find programs about crime and about deception and just endless. It is endless. But when we move together towards this tendency, towards the purpose of our life, there is some kind of solution. And that opens up, because we all come from this same source, And in fact, all of those differences need to complement each other, not to resist each other. And that is the uniqueness of what we're going to talk about here today. I want to start with the first story that's a big story in the news today. And I do not want to talk at all about the politics, not really interested in the politics. If we want to talk about politics, it's another conversation. But the abortion debate is happening again in the United States. Why it came out, was it legal that somebody leaked the information about it? Not interested in any of those things. What I'm interested in, I want to show you something. If I can share my screen, and hopefully I can.
But first of all, if you're not from the United States, you may not even really know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Abortion.
So
okay, I do know what abortion is.
Abortion has been legal in the United States. Federally, it's been legal. And now there may be, the Supreme Court may say that it's up to the states to decide, and it's not federally a legal thing. Anyway, we're not getting into the details of that. That's not really what I want to point out. What I want to point out is something that is very ironic and gets to the root of our spiritual problem. And let's see if I can show it. So can you see the screen here?
Yeah.
Okay, this was during the vaccine mandates. Now, we know that during the time of when COVID was really rampant, the one side of the political spectrum said everyone needs to be vaxxed. And the other side says, no, my body, my choice, you can't tell me what I need to do. Now, what was interesting about that was that the left wing were the ones who were more saying everyone needs to be vaxxed. And the right wing was saying, no, it's my body. You can't tell me what to do with my body. Now comes the abortion issue.
So it doesn't matter doesn't matter.
What happens here is that I just want a person, meaning any person, just wants what's good for me, what I believe. Right? I believe you shouldn't be able to give me your vaccine. I want to have autonomy over my body. But now I say that you shouldn't be able to have an abortion. Or on the other side, I'm saying everybody needs to be vaccinated. I'm telling you need to put this vaccine in your body. I'm telling you that the federal government is saying that you want to go into a restaurant, you want to go into a movie theater, you want to go back to work, you must put this vaccine in your body. Now, 6 months later, no, the government can't tell me what I can do with my body. No, the government can't tell me what I should or should not be able to do with my body, right? So that's the issue I want to talk about, not the politics.
So regardless of the issue at hand, whatever the issue is, this is a clear example for how we can, how what we think of as ideologies and worldviews and politics, like how that is it is such a malleable issue. You could totally be rooting for and protesting for one thing, and then the next day it's the exact opposite, but now you're rooting for it, and it's quite interesting when you think about our collective perception of reality. Yeah, go ahead.
I could bring you another example. Imagine there's a comedian on stage who tells a joke, and someone runs up onto stage and hits him.
Okay.
I heard that something like that happened.
A person who runs up onto stage and hits him gets a standing ovation, wins an award and gets a standing ovation. And then a few weeks later, there's another comedian on stage. Someone runs up on stage and hits him. And the guy who ran up on stage and hits him gets the crap beat out of him.
Yeah,
gets thrown
that
out.
Didn't look good. Yeah.
Like, where is there any, we're in a world right now where I don't know, but when I'm looking, now we're talking about the wisdom of Kabbalah, okay, that means that there is some law of the universe that we're talking about that exists for eternity. But what my eyes see is that
Mhm.
that everything is constantly fluctuating. I don't know what
You
it's okay to hit
basically,
someone on stage. It's not
yeah.
if I see I'll get a standing ovation or I'll get the crap beat out of me if I run up there. It is my body and my choice.
Mhm.
It's not my body and my choice. When, how is every issue going to be like this now?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
basically
Every
can't take
single
an example. You can't take an example from this world. Say here's an example of an event or of an idea. Let's copy that example. Now this group and this group now need to agree on it. Even if it's the same example, you still can't agree on it. So you can't agree on anything if it's the same actual thing, that they're agreeing on in their own separate parties, and you bring the parties together. Hey, yes, I agree that it should be my body. The other one says, yes, I also agree that this should be my body, and they still can't agree on it. It's really hopeless. It's really hopeless.
I would say that first of all, I think we're going to see more and more of that. I mean, more and more examples, situations where um, where there's seemingly unbridgeable gaps in people's
Right.
perception, and increasing double standards, or how the same thing can look differently can look the exact opposite by the same people, like by the same kind of
So
political
how are we
Right.
gonna
party.
how do
Or
you bridge that? How do you
I
bridge when you have
He
people
said
who see the
unbridgeable. Yeah.
exact
I
opposite?
think it's gonna just grow, the discrepancy, the distortion, the cognitive dissonance that we're in as a society is gonna grow, and that will force us to rise to a completely different perception. We are
Okay,
now forming the basis. In fact, if we want to get more Kabbalistic here, we are
let's
now
get.
in society forming gradually the basis for a spiritual perception. Why am I saying that? Because
Why are you
spiritual
saying that?
perception cannot be based on someone's on like an opinion, one opinion that is right or wrong. Any spiritual concept is only created, perceived, and is held by two opposites that manage to come together. The
Okay. Wait a
unity
second.
can only,
Wait a
yeah.
second.
Okay.
Hold that thought. Say that last sentence again, so that we can hold on to that sentence, because we're gonna talk about something that
Okay.
is very
Okay.
relevant to that. Say that last
Uh,
sentence again.
what the
Do you remember what you
basis
just said?
of the
Yes.
basis of
Yes. Yes.
spiritual
Yes.
perception relies on opposites that are coming together in a new way that didn't exist before.
Excellent.
Like okay,
Wait.
I'll stop here.
Okay. Excellent. Now
Okay.
watch. This is a familiar thing on the news recently. Let's blow this up.
You
Okay.
can't say that, Chris.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah,
It's like saying
it's
bomb on a
almost,
plane.
it's almost funny, yeah.
How often are we on the news hearing stuff like, how likely is it that Russia will launch a nuclear attack? Right? So
Oh my God.
in the news, Russia again. We heard this a while ago, and it's basically coming back up as if it's something
Yeah.
that's a serious matter that we should be, really considering. What are we going to do? What are we going to do if they attack? Look at all the nukes that they have. Other pieces you'll see. Here's the list of the countries that have the most nukes, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know this country had nukes. Or talking about the new technology of the bombs or something, and that conversation is clear. The one conversation that isn't something that we're having is something like this. It's a different opinion, but you don't see as much. Why don't they just stop playing games? That's another opinion. So it's like you have, here we go. What do we do? And another one's like, why is this even an actual conversation? So that's happening. That's happening. We're possibly on the verge of nuclear war, but actually this time seriously, is what it seems like, according to
The
the
U.S.
headlines.
apparently is sending $33 billion in aid to the Ukraine. I saw yesterday that Chris maybe could pull this story up. Look up
Tell me.
Russian nuclear sub United Kingdom. So guys, how tall is it's 500 meters? I think it's more than 1,000 feet.
500 meters? Yeah. That's
It's
a half a kilometer up in this
Okay.
going up. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. So what the Russian Minister of Propaganda said earlier in the week is why is England messing with us, we will detonate a nuclear, there you go, we will detonate a Poseidon nuclear drone on the coast of England. The drone, everybody listen up, will explode. It will cause a 500-meter wave of water, radioactive wave of water that will destroy the entire country of England, will wash over and wipe out. Now, not only will the water destroy everyone, but it will be a radioactive wave. Now, this is actually what Russia has more nuclear weapons than anyone on planet Earth. U.S. is second. This is actually what they said this week towards England, that they will wipe out England with a nuclear sub-missile.
And they even said whoever doesn't die or something, right, they're very explicit about it.
They'll melt from the radioactivity if they don't drown from this 500-meter wave. So this is actually... Now we're meanwhile watching the Johnny Depp case on TV all day long.
Thank God.
That's something else. Thank God, right? That we're all interested in Johnny's drunkenness and whatever. But if you did happen to read the other story in the news, this is literally going on. That today in 2022, and the U.S., what is the U.S. doing? Are we spending all of the time trying to speak to them? Trying to now we can discuss why not and why they're trying to why the U.S. might be trying to overthrow Putin and what's going all the back office dealings and things. But do we see in our collective consciousness world leaders working towards resolving these things, complementing each other, saying, oh, okay, we're different kind of people. Like Asaf, you just said that spirituality is built out of the complementation of these opposites. We need to open that right now, because what we see is just resistance. We see the U.S. putting billions of dollars, giving Ukraine billions of dollars. Russia is threatening nuclear weapons, and the U.S. is giving billions of dollars in weapons to the Ukraine to fight Russia. Where is this going?
Yeah.
With that kind of leadership?
I first thing I want to say is this: how crazy is this situation that you have grown adults who are leading countries, leading defense ministries, leading armies? They have families and kids and wives and and these people are, it almost feels like they're kind of like flexing their nuclear muscles. Oh, we have this bomb. Look at us, but we have that bomb. Oh, you're going to do that? Oh, we're going to throw some radioactive stuff on you. Oh, our stuff is going to, annihilate all of you. Oh, but our bomb is going to, what did you say? 500 meters of radioactive decay or something?
A wave.
Radioactive tsunami.
Wave.
It's insane that we are being so childish about annihilation. This is literally happening, right? It's like,
in a sandbox.
It sounds like, it sounds like kids in the sandbox, except they actually have real nukes. That's what's happening right now. People are leaders of countries and armies are right now like flexing their muscles and showing off their goods.
This is when you need and grandma to come over and be like, she has her stick and she like slaps the Putin over the head, or like, stop the nonsense, stop the horseplay, stop acting like that. It's like you need some kind of respectable force to come. Otherwise, no one's gonna lay down their weapons.
Yes.
I mean, obviously,
but it's so it's insane. It's literally insane. This is like it's like grown kids playing with fire, or little kids playing with fire.
I'm trying to find the picture. I can't find it now. There's a guy named Kisilev. I think he's the head Russian propagandist. A picture came up on my Twitter yesterday. He's on vacation in Dubai, like eating ice cream or something in flip flops and shorts, like standing by the beach with some kids who are hanging out there. That's the guy who's like saying
Mm,
we're going to nuke England.
yeah,
It's like
This something. It's
what,
just
what
something
it's
so
so
surreal. It's not adding
surreal.
up. It's not
surreal.
adding
Yeah,
up.
surreal.
Yeah,
This is
They,
weird.
it's
they,
so surreal.
I think there's another point that comes from this. See, everyone's seeing these headlines, just like you and like everyone else sees the same thing. Mainstream media tells us about this, and everybody's just treating this like that's the news. You know what I mean? Like he said this. Now the Ukraine guy said that. The Russia guy said that. The U.S. guy said that. The UK guy said that. And no one is like Chris said, no one is kind of like coming from a higher, more mature perspective saying, guys, can we just chill with the nukes for a second? Can we just like, okay, let's try to
So
not
what
kill
is it
each other
there?
and the world and the planet and annihilate the humanity? Let's kind of not do that. What do you say? No one helps us form a mature perception on what is happening. And the mature perception is that all of that leadership is childish. That all the entire way in which we are actually talking about the conflict, how to resolve or how is childish. It's just everyone just trying to flex
Well,
their muscles.
a child is never going to grow up, and no one's going to reach 12 years old, 13 years old, and approach their mother and father and say, "Prepare me. I want to be a big grown up. I'm ready to listen to you. I'm ready to take all of your advice." That's not how parenting works. That's not how children
Right.
evolve or advance. So there has to be already something that exists above that's kind of babysitting in a sense, and is ready to help, encourage, get them along the way, push them around.
It's the
That doesn't exist
in
yet,
one
so we can't ask too
yeah.
much.
I think in one way or another, we're seeing another instance, another aspect of the same thing we started talking about in the beginning. We're seeing more and more uh, growth of opposites that
Yeah, so
can't be
talk about
bridged.
this, because this is the the wisdom of Kabbalah says everything is one. Okay, that's the premise of the whole thing. But then once you open up the wisdom, you find out that there's two. That there's these opposites that have to be, to come into one, and that method of how to deal with those opposites is where this magic is found. So can you help us here, because we're dealing with some very, very serious
Yeah.
situations in the
That
world. COVID. It was actually kind of fun now that we look back on it. No, I'm kidding, but that was one thing. Nuclear war, where a billion people could be melted. But that's a totally different kind of situation.
yeah.
It almost doesn't scare us though, otherwise, right?
What?
It almost doesn't really scare us. It's almost like not. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe that's not even an
there's
important point. It just feels
there's
like
a
it doesn't
defense
bother us.
mechanism for everyone.
True.
We
That's a good way
we
to put
just
it.
don't think it will happen.
Yeah.
Which is we also didn't think a lot of things will not
It's
happen. And
easier
they
to
happen.
live like that.
It's a protective mechanism. We always think, okay, well, yeah, okay, maybe it happens in another place. This is the funny thing. We're talking about, if there's a nuclear bomb that goes off somewhere, that's it. The world is not going to be
World
the
has
same
changed.
world. It
World has
doesn't
changed, yeah.
matter where it falls. It doesn't matter where it falls.
No.
I'm not going to get into this whole situation, but the world has become completely interdependent, and you can't just drill a hole under your
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
your own side of the boat. You don't get to do that when it's
Tell,
a
It
one
is better
boat.
tell
just
us
not to think
about
about it,
this,
though.
these opposites in the wisdom of Kabbalah. Just dissect the story. Okay, listen.
Okay,
We went deep on the story. Hold on, just give me a second. We brought everyone down to planet Earth. Okay, we talked about the holiday table. We talked about the cute little baby. Then we talked about the abortion situation. Then we talked about the nuclear war. Now get off of Earth. Go all the way back up to the system, to the structure, and explain to me about opposites. And then we're going to come back down to earth once we understand, once we put everything in its place. What is going on in the upper system?
How far do we start from? Okay. I see it like this. There is one vessel that you said go far. So I'm gonna go far. There's one vessel that was created. Everything that and everyone, everything in reality and everyone in reality, all the nations, all the leaders, all the people, we're all one non-material entity that was created. That's what we call the vessel in Kabbalah, or the kli. And that vessel had to go through a shattering in order to become conscious of itself and become fulfilled with endless light. And so we're in a reality that Kabbalists refer to as the shattering. That's the reality that we are in now. In this reality, we indeed feel shattered, meaning we all feel different, opposite to each other, different opinions, different worldviews, different nations, different cultures, hatred, animosity, conflicts abound. That is a given state. The fact that we feel all of this this conflicting state between human beings is a given. We have to understand that's the basis of reality. We need that sense of differences between us in order to begin to feel ourselves as a single kli. However, in our time, all of these pieces are beginning to discover that besides being opposite to each other, there were wars and conflicts in humanity, many for a long time, for thousands and thousands of years, right? That's not new. What is new is that today we're starting to see that with our opposites and conflicts and differences, there's also some deeper, higher, more fundamental, more encompassing law of interdependence that ties us together. That's why our world is becoming globally interdependent. That's why we see that an global epidemic can change the world in a matter of weeks. That's why the climate crisis appears as something that we can never solve without global cooperation. We're going to a reality where all of those opposite pieces must find a way to recognize that they're also connected to each other, their well-being depends on each other, and we have to somehow find a way to coexist. Now, we're talking about spiritual development, and because that is the case with humanity, we're not going to be able to solve the problems by making one side right or the other one wrong. We have to find a way to keep the differences. They're not going to go away. They were created. This shattering created the differences between us deliberately. It's the basis of consciousness. Now we have to go to a deeper worldview, a non-material worldview, where we begin to develop a sense of how these differences, while they remain on this level, they help us aim ourselves to a unity that is comprised.
So somehow someone has to tell Vladimir Putin about this, or what do you mean specifically?
What we see on the outside, I think, is just a result. It's a reflection. It's an outcome, a consequence of the inner state of the world. Leaders, these armed conflicts. Unfortunately, these are things that already.
This is a projection of our inner, of the people who are conscious of these things. All of this is a projection of their inner.
Yes. What we need is help in forming this deeper, we called it mature earlier. You can call it spiritual. You can call it whatever you want. It's just the reality that we are interdependent. That has to get into our bones, into our hearts, into our minds. That when that begins, when that awareness, when that newfound awareness that we're actually one thing, and we can't escape it, like it or not. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. I'm not talking to people who like the idea, and in general, maybe they're, typically more new agey people, or they like the idea of global oneness, global peace. Maybe they sing Kumbaya and they were in the Boy Scouts or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter who you are and whether you like this idea or not. We are connected to each other, period. Nature is gradually showing that to us. Reality is revealing that to us, period. That's a reality we're going to have to cope with. Now, if we can, the more and more people can embrace that, understand that this is reality, what can we do? We have to start thinking like one, dare I say, family. Very difficult concept to talk about humanity as a family in today's divided, super divisive era. But that's where we're going to have to go. And that is a change of consciousness that needs to happen. If we get to that level of awareness, we will see that all along, all those differences between us, all those extreme conflicts of views, clashes of opinions, they're just there in order for us to further discover that we are one. Without the differences, without the diversity, without
in a sense, I'm like watching a movie, actually. I have many, many feelings. And not only that, it's like a really 3D, 4D, 5D, 10D movie, because I feel it I feel it. But really everything that I'm seeing, the war, the virus, the abortion, it's all a movie that's being projected out of my consciousness.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a very, unlike a movie that stays on the screen and you're outside of it, you're in the movie.
You're in it with every feeling.
With 3D surround and 3D,
we imagine
three-dimensional.
That
yes.
We imagine that you could be in a movie theater where, like, when the car goes by, you feel the breeze, or when the roses go by, you smell.
It's
where literally we're in that movie with all of our senses.
This whole reality, this whole physical reality within space, time, and everything that's happening to us, it's that kli that we talked about, this vessel producing this picture of reality. Because it is currently shattered, this reality appears as transient material. We live and die. We live for 80 years and it's done. We don't know what's before, we don't know what's after. That's all a result of the shatteredness of the kli. The kli is playing a certain movie inside itself. And we call that reality. We don't go ahead.
It feels just like it's like when you're in a really deep, heavy dream and there's some kind of noise in the background, and it kind of just like slowly draws you out of your dream. Maybe in your dream you become a little bit more conscious and you start thinking like, I hear a noise, like what's that noise or whatever, but you feel so heavy and you're like kind of being sucked out, and eventually it's like, and it like finds it like into your actual consciousness. You wake up and you're there.
Yeah,
you need so much force from the outside as if to kind of pull you out of that dream to even look at the situation that you're in.
But we can create that force. This is what we need. This is what will I recognize this may sound a little controversial, but we don't need to try to fix the world, because the world is a dream.
That's good, because I don't think it's too big of a problem to try and fix.
But also, it's hard for people when we say that this whole world is a dream. It's because
wait a second.
It's also go ahead.
Let's get back to that, because there's a topic I want to bring up in a second, and you can go back to this dream world idea. Hold on to that for a second, because we're going to cut to something. Listen to this.
Okay, I do feel like we're in the midst of Seth is not happy with we didn't resolve the.
That's okay. No, let's go.
Okay, I'm flowing, guys. Go ahead.
We're in the dream. So we're in the dream reality. That's all right. We're going to hold on to that, because that's something everyone can identify with a little bit. All right. So the reason we're not going to come out of that dream anytime soon, if we're going to go along with the pace of the world and what the media decides to show us, they're going to prefer that we stay in this dream for a long time, just because it's easier. And it's easier not to think about Ukraine and Russia. It's easier not to think about whatever terrible thing is happening in the world because you have Johnny Depp on the television. And you've got Amber Heard.
Oh,
and
now I see what you're doing. Yeah, that's a good
well,
move. Go for it.
Well, listen, because I don't need to think about that thing because I have the most entertaining bit of entertainment and I don't even know, a long time, because it's a publicly broadcasted trial of a defamation case between two celebrities that's on air almost 24/7. So what could be more? And so I saw this this headline. Thought it was kind of funny. Depp versus Heard. What you might have missed this week. Tell me, how am I gonna miss it when I literally, my consciousness cannot escape some kind of vision of like a courtroom hearing?
30-40% of everything I see on my YouTube feed right now is this case. I don't know
30
what
40%.
I did to deserve
That's not an
this
exaggeration.
punishment.
Yeah.
And you know what's really weird? What's really weird is there was a case not too long ago about a guy who was connected to like princes and presidents and titans like Bill Gates and all, like the Jeffrey Epstein case, where like all of these politicians, all of these governments were all tied into this case. And it was like nothing to find on the news about that case at all. It could have taken down governments. It could have taken down massive companies, and there was like nothing. And
we got a sketch. There was a sketch.
There was one sketch from the courtroom, and then a case like this is and again, this is not a conspiracy theory show. We're not here talking about politics. What we're talking about is what the system is presenting to us. But it's such a strange phenomenon that we talked earlier about how babies, they don't have very they don't have a lot of pixels in their picture. It's just like, blah, I'm hungry, blah,
they don't
my
care
diaper.
about a lot.
It's not like a lot of calculations. We're so much treated like infants in all of this. It's like, that's bad, that's good, blah, don't pay attention to the big war that's going on. We're just going to move a few billions over here.
Well, I mean, honestly, how long can you watch it, though?
School me, please. Tell me. I do not understand. I do not understand. First of all, I have to say, whether it's because I don't know. I didn't watch more than a couple of minutes.
It's not in your YouTube feed?
No. I see it all over the place, of course. But I didn't actually watch more than a few minutes of a video to conclude that I just don't want anything to do with that. But my wife
is
had
interesting
a experience. She got sucked in, and she told
women
me,
love. I'm making a generalization, but like there's something about just like my wife is right now into like Netflix, like reality, stuff. Like they just love just being absorbed, and there's like something like it's real, it's like extensions.
There's a lot
you
to
can
that.
participate into it. There's a lot of connections you can make, and you can relate to it in many different ways. There's a lot there. Entertainment value.
Okay, sure. Who made this public? I understand. Can someone explain to me? Just tell me what is my ignorance here? How come? Why is this? Why is someone making money off this? Someone making money off this?
Asaf, are you asking if someone's making money off this? Come on.
No, like big money from making it public specifically. Like why is it so important right now to be on?
How not?
I was gonna say, maybe it's the same people who are not showing us all of the things that we should be seeing.
I don't know.
I mean, it seems, I wish we were smarter, because it seems so easy to manipulate people, and we're so bad at it. We're trying to get everybody to get along with each other. We're trying to tell everybody that to love above all of our differences is the way. And we're horrible at explaining this to people. And yet all day long, they're talking about killing everyone. They're talking about horrible things that are happening. They're talking about stupid divorce case every day. And it's getting hundreds of millions of views.
It's crazy that the collective attention is millions of minds and hearts right now are glued to the screens for what's happening.
What do we need to do better? Why are we not? While the war how do we do a better job?
I think again, this helps you see how the problem is a lack of awareness, a lack of a change of consciousness that needs to happen. I had a conversation with my wife about this, the Johnny Depp thing, because she watched more of it, and she said that she couldn't escape it. She binged on a few videos one after the other, and she felt sick afterwards. So we talked about it, and she, you know, that she was born in the Ukraine. She's more connected than me to the details of what's happening there. And she's like, why am I spending my attention now on this? Well, and it's like, it's almost like you have this couple now, this celebrity couple, who's like spewing their dirt on each other in a public trial, and all of the public is just wallowing in the cesspool, you know? And that's, we deserve this kind of world almost. You know what I mean? We are all, when we,
maybe that's your answer, Saf.
If the internet represents a hive mind, you know, of humanity, if you think about it like that, then we are all contributing to that. And that's
the answer.
And we're saying, give us more. Give me more of that dirt.
That's the answer. This is what we're seeing is a projection of our inner movie.
Yes.
That's why. There's no conspiracy. There is no conspiracy. What we are all seeing is a projection of where we are at and what is important to us.
Exactly. Yes,
that's fine.
That's exactly right. And then you have all the system of the egoistic, materialistic world that we have. You know, oh, that gives more rating. Great. Oh, so we should broadcast this too. Okay, so you know the news editor comes to his desk with like a couple of items, and then he goes like, okay, Russia, Ukraine, been there, done that. Yeah, still people dying, still people being murdered, still horrible things are happening. Haven't solved that yet. Oh, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. Oh, that's hot. Okay, let's put that on. That gets more screen time, you know, and it's all just feeding itself. We're inertially being like just showering ourselves with BS instead of actually solving our problems, and they're not being solved, they're just escalating. And it's horrible things, by the way, what's happening right now in the Ukraine. My wife tells me about stories she's reading and picking up. It's like there's horrible stuff happening, and war crimes too, and raping and pillaging and killing children, elderly people. It's horrible stuff.
Seems like such a low happening. That's such a whatever. Even just when you're describing those things, you're describing such a lower. I feel almost my body dropping to just like such a low degree of living. You know, it just feels like so low. And at the same time, you're saying all this other stuff, this junk that we're being washed with. It's also good. It's terrible, but at the same time, nothing is actually terrible because it still leads us to reveal, to understand a little bit about what it is we're actually doing. Eventually, you wake up and you say, I'm washing myself with crap. You know, eventually you get to that point.
Yes. And it's also true that still, what is this case about? It's ridiculous that it's like a public thing, and they're actors, by the way. So weird, such a weird thing, right? Like have actors play, you know, or they're used to like being in the public eye with millions of people looking at them, and now their personal life becomes entertainment. So they dealt with for years, they're doing entertainment based on characters that are not them. So what's the difference? You know, let's just put our life into the mix. You know, it's all entertainment. There's the blur. There's such a blur between reality and reality show, reality and entertainment. And it's clear that you know, the calculation of the people who decide what to play for us and what to promote and what the algorithms are designed to do is to maximize attention. And so if that means that you need to know less and be less worried about an actual war and an actual conflict, because for now people can still make money off your attention, then be, you know, plugged into this trial.
That's fine. We know it's all about the money. And I saw an interview just now. I don't know if you know who Dave Portnoy is, but he had this kind of hit piece written about him. He's like, it doesn't matter. He's in an entertainment business. and he's, you know, making a lot of money. He's also a little bit controversial. Someone wrote a hit piece about him, and he took the editor on and interviewed her, basically asking, why did you do this? Like, I just went there to do some great what does he do? He judges like pizza restaurants. I just went in there to judge pizza restaurants. Wherever I go, I bring them a lot of money. Why would you go and tell them and sabotage me? Why would you go and tell them that I'm a controversial person? Doesn't really matter what the backstory is. But her answer was, to his face, she said, listen, I definitely agree, but you have to understand that we want rage clicks and we want hate clicks, so that just brings us more money. So whenever people read, oh, this Dave Portnoy guy, and she told to his face in the interview, and he was sitting there and he goes, I hate that I like that answer. Because she was telling the truth, and that she was just explaining like, this is the reality of the situation. And the reason that he understood it and agreed with it was because, I would do the same. So it's kind of like it's like this general awakening of, yes, the system is very poisoned. It's very wretched.
Enough to break that, though.
It just has to get so sick that it dies, right?
There is one interesting thing here that I still kind of lingers in my mind, that at the end of the day, it's about relationships. It's about human connection. You know, even that case, even this Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, in one way or another, we're being put a mirror. There's a mirror that's being put in front of our faces that we're not going to be able to escape it. You see, whether it comes in this form or in another form, the connections between us, the relationship between human beings, is what we're going to have to focus on. Whether and you know, it's just a matter of time and suffering until we realize we have to do that consciously. Clearly, if you had a more educated public, more conscious public, more, you know, people would be they wouldn't be interested in this stuff. Then the media would have to focus on other things to get our attention. If there was no acceptance at all to anything that says weapons of mass destruction.
Hold on. Here's the issue. Here's the issue we need to bring up. It's very noble to say, if none of us cared about the BS, then they wouldn't show it to us. But there is a force of nature that we're dealing with, and we need to actually be able to exploit in a good way the force of nature. The force of nature says we are drawn to the thing that gives us pleasure. We are drawn to the thing that interests us. So we can't create a solution where we're going to require the entire population to fight against their urges in order to say we're not going to click on Johnny Depp. Basically, what you're saying is, if everybody woke up in the morning and said, I just want to look at positive news, then all the negative news would die. But it's never going to happen, because I get chemical release when I hit the rage click. I get the chemical release when I do the other thing. So since that's built into nature, our solution has to take into account what is built into nature. We can't fight nature.
No, we have to make, I understand, that's going to sound a little naive maybe, but spiritual revolution is the only cure. We're going to be filling ourselves with BS and suffering and addiction and mainstream media pushing junk at us. And we're going to keep showering in the cesspool of crap until we raise our goals as human beings. And that is a spiritual revolution. How can it happen? From heart to heart. That's the deeper network that's stronger than the internet and stronger than the
This is what
we
media experienced at the Congress.
Exactly.
And I respect the fact that you always say gradual.
We're the only ones responsible. People with some sort of awareness, people with some sort of consciousness. We can't really, we're not blaming anyone here.
Yes,
We need
and
to
also if
do
you
more
feel
work.
that, then if you feel that you're kind like you have kind of this inclination, then you already also it's accompanied by feeling a little bit responsible. And I respect the fact that it's something gradual too, because everyone, maybe someone joins the podcast, listens to something like, maybe if I aim my heart and my mind in one way, bam, I get it, and I can feel what it is, whatever I'm reading about, whatever these guys are talking about. But it really is a gradual development. It is a step by step, just like a baby develops and goes through stages. The human society, also human evolution, also is gradual. So we're just gradually waking up and seeing what's happening and trying to adjust. One thing before we go, I see we only have a few more minutes left. I saw that we get a lot of comments. We read a lot of comments after the show, also the live chat. And Leon asked something. First of all, correct us, Leon. Let us know. Each country
There's a
pronounces it a little
different
bit
flavor
differently.
of Leon or Leon.
We just want to get it right. We can
want to make sure we're pronouncing it right.
That is important.
We
He asked
do
a
know
question.
that you're with
No.
us for a long time.
Long time. Yeah, TGT.
And been sending comments and impressions on the show for a long time. So
He said last show.
Okay,
He said last show he asked a question. He said, "What are you guys' thoughts on psychedelics? Could it be beneficial to folks who need it?" Great discussion.
Great discussion for 3 minutes.
We could
the question?
take some time.
What's the question, Chris?
What are our thoughts on psychedelics? Are they beneficial? Could it be beneficial for folks who need it? Good question.
Wow.
Great question.
Great question.
I don't think, and I
sure
don't think
that-
we've talked about it before on the show, really.
I would love to open it up. I tried them in my past, but without even getting into the benefit or anything of psychedelics, what I could just say, maybe before you guys say something, is just what we experienced at the Congress last week.
Mm-hmm.
When you have thousands of people from every culture, every religion, every sexual orientation come together to aim towards this goal of unity. I would just juxtapose that against take whatever benefits the psychedelics have, and maybe there are many, especially for depression or substance abuse or even just a feeling of oneness that a person could have. But we're talking here about a solution for humanity, a solution when we're faced with wars, when we're faced with viruses, when we're faced with starvation, when we're faced with plagues. And when we're looking for a solution for humanity, this common unity that we will discover together in our common effort, I would put that on one side and psychedelics as something else. That's how I would approach that question. I'd love to hear what you guys say.
Well, first of all, like you said, that's a bigger topic we can get into because there's a lot of interesting aspects to this. I think clearly there's a lot of people, and again, I too had experience in the past with it. There's sometimes it happens to people, sometimes not. There's a lot of discussion about this concept of ego death. People call it like that when you take psychedelics, there's different kinds also, and we're doing this very shortly right now. Then people feel some sort of emerging, some sort of a unifying quality, some sort of a connection with the cosmos, with other people, with all of humanity. And first of all, I think that's a great experience. That I wish every person to
tell
have
me that's bad.
that kind of experience. The thing is that on psychedelics, it happens because first of all, no one really knows how psychedelics work neuroscientifically. There's yet because it's also because we don't really know how any conscious experience works. There's a lot of correlates between brain activity and what we call conscious experiences. No causal stuff. There's no theory, no scientific actual evidence, empirical
That's
based
pretty
theory on the
amazing. That is
table
pretty amazing.
that describes how consciousness works, or how psychedelics create the consciousness, the conscious experiences that they create. We do know that it seems like they quiet what is called I think the default mode network, the neuroscientists call it, which is essentially like the CEO of the brain that kind of like governs and regulates all of the other types of networks. So naturally, that is what you could kind of relate to on a physical level, as like your sense of always kind of keeping in touch with reality, and the sense of time, and the sense of like memory of who was I a minute ago, who am I right now. When all of that gets disrupted, then there's room for all the other networks to work in new ways. And in that state, you might feel like your sense of self dissolves into the rest of reality, or into the cosmos, or whatever. And that kind of explains the thing. And in that sense, I think that you could say that such an experience will be good advertisement, good in showing people that there's a possibility to change our consciousness. That's an interesting thing that happens, but clearly it's not. That's not a method where you can methodically, systematically,
develop that.
Develop that, exactly. Now, Kabbalah talks about spiritual attainment, meaning let's. I'm not saying good or bad or anything. That experience that of unity that people have on psychedelics is not the same as spiritual attainment. Kabbalah talks about a conscious, lucid way of rising above our ego, which is different than disrupting some, the activity in our brain that's related to what we call our egoistic perception of reality. We were just temporarily disrupting our material perception of reality. Here, or in Kabbalah, we're talking about consciously, lucidly rising above the ego and beginning to actually use your urges, desires, intentions, your entire self in order to serve that bigger picture, that bigger system that you discover through connection with other people. And that is already a systematic way for people to change their consciousness and discover that we are one. And that is something that every person can gradually learn how to do it. And that is something that can be educational. And that is something that all people, ultimately all of humanity's entire societies can gradually develop and do. So, so there's we gotta conclude, right? So there's more that can be said about this. It's
there's a
definitely
lot
fascinating.
More. We should take
Also,
another time to talk about
stuff, it. I read here and there about the stuff they're doing just recently in the last few years about mental health and psychedelics, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
There's a lot to talk about.
The PTSD, depression, anxiety, people with suicidal tendencies, people who have cancer and or they're terminally ill, they report that they live their life, even if if it doesn't fix their problem medically, it makes the rest of their lives a completely different experience. They even come to a point where they can accept the fact that their body's going to die soon. So no doubt this can probably lead to some tremendous changes. There's a lot of promise in that field.
Definitely better than nuclear war.
Yeah, but I do yes,
right.
Yes, for sure. But if you understand the layers of the structure of reality, the structure of the upper worlds, how all that system is built, just from the explanation of the Kabbalists, then clearly you can't change your desires and intentions by ingesting chemicals. You can disrupt temporarily your material perception of reality, and that might be revelatory for some people not necessarily. That might be, you know, a good thing, a bad thing, depends on who you are, set and setting, all that stuff. But desires and intentions, you can't access that chemically. That to actually make a change in that
It
level
requires effort. What you're pulling the rug out from your feet,
and an environment of other pieces of the broken
that doesn't
soul,
mean that it's less rewarding by
working
any
together.
means. Right.
Yeah.
Friends, we're constantly looking through the chats, so thank you, Leon, for that one. We're interested in what interests you. It's such a transformational time for all of us. What we're going to see in the next year, in the next few months, in the next few years will be massive of changes throughout all of humanity, and we are moving towards a spiritual reality. Let's keep ourselves educated on what's going on. Let's keep ourselves inside of an environment of other people who are aiming as different as we are, as different as our faces are, as our foreign countries are, as our cultures are, but that inner desire that Asaf is talking about, that we keep mingling our desires closer and closer together towards this one goal of unity for all of humanity, of bringing love into the world, the fulfillment of all of our desires, of this eternal reality. We will be back next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for the Great Transition. Big hug to everyone. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Asaf. Thanks, world. We will see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
There's a song that plays, and in our hands we have a choice that waits. Together rising high above these lies, and see the world through your eyes. In every moment there's a chance to see another vision of what we could be, behind the colors of